Hello, my beautiful people. These are all my thoughts and opinions based on public information in the public domain. Please do your own research, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Also, what I'm about to discuss, this is not about me hating on children. This is not about me trying to harm them or wishing ill on them. It's just law. It's the law. Let me give, for example, if two people commit fraud to get somebody a citizenship, and the child gets the citizenship under false pretenses, and it's found out, the parents end up going to jail, and unfortunately, the child loses the citizenship because it was obtained under fraud. It's, everybody does that. Even when you're a citizen of a country, they still ask you to present documentation, original documentation, to verify that you are entitled to have a passport or whatever, that's you, that you are a citizen, that you meet all the legal requirements. So this basically is about pointing out certain inconsistencies for me that I need clarified, or I would like to have the answer to, that leads me to think that Meghan's children and Harry's children shouldn't be in the line of succession until these are clarified. That's what the video is about. And you guys even made me write stuff because I had to write some stuff so I don't forget. Before I start with this, I'll remind you guys why it's important to know why things are done, why laws are created, where a certain law came from, or protocol or something like that. The reason why people had to be present during royal births long ago, before you used to have a lot of people present, was because there was a lot of fraud ongoing, that there was so much pressure to produce an heir, of a legitimate heir, that if they didn't, then they would be removed as monarchs and it would fall to somebody else. And families did anything they could in their power to for that not to be the case. So they resorted to, for example, they would, as soon as the queen was told that she was pregnant, they would get another girl who was also pregnant along the same lines with the queen, in case when she died, if during childbirth the baby died or it was horrible looking, they would have the baby from the servant or whoever, and they would replace it. They would bring the baby in the warming basin. Also, men would sneak. A lot of queens would say that they were pregnant when they're not, just to say I am pregnant, because they were under so much pressure to produce an heir. And then they would sneak, and usually back then they would sequester. It's called sequester. They would put her in a room, and she wouldn't be able to leave. She would have her maids, people would come in and out, but she wouldn't leave. And yet the queens managed to sneak men into their rooms to have sex with, in order to see if they could get them pregnant. Now, there was one famous queen who got pregnant while her husband was during the Crusades. I think I posted a link to that video. It's the only queen on earth who's, other than Meghan, who had a, I think, 45-week pregnancy, 45 or 46-week pregnancy, because her husband was away fighting wars, the king, when she got pregnant. And then they said that it was normal. Sorry, she was 11 weeks past her due date that she gave birth. I'm sorry, I got mixed up. Now I'm remembering it. So this is where the protocol, it wasn't a law, but it was mandatory. We're going to have people there now watching you guys, and not only that, they stayed with the baby for about a month and a half after the birth, just in case, to ensure that the baby was alive and it was the same baby. Now, so this is why it was done. Now, if you understand where this is coming from, because of course families are desperate. Trust me, when they get to be monarchs, they don't want to come down off the throne. So what happened later on, when monarchy was reinstated, because there was a brief period that there was no monarchy in modern England. And they said that we're going to have the Home Secretary plus a couple of other people witness the birth of a royal baby to ensure that it comes out of the woman's body. And we can say, hey, we saw it. It is a baby. It came out of the, consort queen or whatever. This was stopped by King George V unilaterally when Queen Elizabeth gave birth to Prince Charles in 1948, which was wrong because he was not an absolute monarch, but he was still allowed, and he didn't allow people to witness the birth of Prince Charles, at least not in their room. What he did allow was for the Home Secretary with the other two people to be outside the room. And when the baby was born, they went in and they saw that the baby, the queen was there. And then the doctors signed the document, which was posted outside of Buckingham Palace. So it went from witnessing the birth, the actual birth by the Home Secretary with two other people, because it's always, when you're a witness of something, it should be at least two, to only getting a paper from the doctors saying, we pulled the baby out of the body of the woman, and we're witness to that, we're testifying to that. So there were never written rules. There were never written laws. There were just protocols that were there in place. Now, it's progressed to the point that now that's not even shown. Okay, but we'll get to that. So now you understand why it was important, why it was protocol to have somebody there. Because of course, people want to stay in power. People want those privileges. People want those positions. Do you think Prince William would have been able to do the Earth shot if it was? No, of course not. Nobody would know, nobody would care. They want to hang on to that. So that's where protocol of having people, they're witnessing the birth of a child. And then it was shifted to having the easel with the doctor's signature who had delivered that baby, testifying to the fact that the baby was born. Now, it's very important that we don't endorse gossip either. I don't do that. And so what I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a little bit of a long video. So what I'm going to tell you is it's what I've deducted or seen from what's out there. There was a book, and let me put you why things are not like that. There were two claims made about the Queen Mother. One that she conceived Queen Elizabeth by artificial insemination. Let me tell you a little bit of that, and you can actually Google it, because I actually did Google it. Artificial insemination didn't start until the 1960s. The Queen was born in 1926. So claiming that the Queen Mother was artificially inseminated to have Queen Elizabeth, it would have been, it's like saying that Queen Elizabeth was sending emails to Winston Churchill for her coronation. The technology wasn't even there. It didn't even exist. This Russian guy, Ivanovich, he started in 1938 thinking about the idea of, artificially inseminating a cow. He thought about it, in 1933, and then but nothing came of it. In 1938, this guy Danish guy from Denmark, Sørensen, he read about the study that the Ivanovich guy had done, and thought it was interesting. And he wrote another paper on it that it could be possible. And then in 1953 in New Jersey, this American guy picked up those two studies, and that's when he started thinking about inseminating cows and rabbits. Before then, it doesn't exist, you know what I mean? So those things I'll leave out, because if artificial insemination didn't exist until the late 1960s and it was with cows and animals, how can the Queen Mother have been artificially inseminated if it wasn't there? Number two, that the Queen Mother was the illegitimate daughter of a French cook and her father. That's also a very disgusting lie, which was started by Wallis Simpson and the Duke of Windsor, because they hated her. They found out, look, she is a total Meghan Markle, because she took the trouble to find out that there was this very unattractive cook, French cook that was working, that her name was Marguerite, and the Queen Mother's middle name is Elizabeth Marguerite. So they took pleasure, especially Wallis Simpson took pleasure that the cook was unattractive, and two, that her name was Marguerite. And she started this horrible rumor that the Queen Mother's real mom was an ugly French cook. And they spread that around, but it didn't take, because of course it was ridiculous. It's been spread that it was a surrogacy, I think it said, which is insane, because the Queen Mother's mother had already 8 children by the time that the Queen Mother was born. So there was no urgent need. There was nothing like that. And it was just a vicious rumor spread by people. Now, I'm telling you this because people have to be careful with things that they say. Because Wallis Simpson and the Duke of Windsor really hated her. They really hated her and blamed her for everything, even though she had nothing to do with them being exiled. It was mostly Parliament. And yeah, it was Parliament that forced the king to do that. They couldn't force the king not to give the Duke of Windsor titles, because Parliament asked the king to please not give the Duke of Windsor any royal titles and simply exile him completely. But the king refused and gave him royal titles. So for those of you who keep talking that, oh, it's Parliament who decides on royal titles, no, royal titles are at the absolute monarchy of the absolute pleasure of the monarch. And what Parliament can do is to regulate how those titles are used. They can do that. So, but that's a petition that has to be started. So you can look at the book. It's actually a book written. It's called The Queen Mother. So we have to be careful when we put out things. Now, let's get started with Meghan Markle. Queen Eugenie Meghan Markle got married May 19th, if I remember correctly. You guys even made me write this. They got married on May 19th, right? And she announced on October 12th that she was almost 12 weeks pregnant. They say that's at Eugenie's wedding on October 12th. She said that they were going to announce it early next week because they were almost 12 weeks pregnant. This is what it was stated that day, okay? That she was almost 12-week pregnant, because royal pregnancies are announced from 12 weeks onwards, just to make sure that, the baby takes or whatever, there's less risk of you losing the baby or whatever. So on October 12th, Meghan Markle stated that she was almost 12 weeks pregnant. So that would mean that she had to get pregnant sometime between the 20th and the 28th of July of 2018. Okay, now, what I'm about to describe, these are the known trips that they took between their wedding, May 19th, and October 12th, which is the day that they announced the pregnancy. Okay, and these are the known ones, because I'm pretty sure that they took others. Okay, after they got married, they went on May 19th. They went away on honeymoon for almost almost a month. So they came back around mid-June. I'm just looking at this. And then once they returned, they took 2 trips to Italy for vacation. One of them, they went to George Clooney's, this is in August. They went to George Clooney's villa that he sent his private plane to pick them up, to take them to this party that he was having for a weekend, almost 4 days. And then they went on their own to another party in Italy in August. And then Meghan Markle came back, and then she flew to Toronto to see Jessica Mulroney, where she partied. This is at the end of August, and she came back at the beginning of September. We know there's 2 major parties that they went after that, which was they went to, this is confirmed, they were in Amsterdam at the end of September for the opening of Soho House there for a 3-day party, which cost thousands and thousands of dollars because of security. They flew with security to that party. And then the weekend after that, almost at the beginning of October, they went to Soho Pharma House in the Cotswold. Now, and then on October 12th is Princess Eugenie's wedding. Why am I mentioning these trips? Because in all of those trips, she was drinking and smoking. all of those, up to the weekend, at least before Jenny's wedding. The only reason that I can think is that she didn't know, and she found out that morning that she was pregnant when she went to the wedding, which would be insane because, if you just got the first test, you usually need to verify these things. So up to the weekend prior to Princess Eugenie's wedding, they were partying, drinking, and smoking because Meghan Markle smokes. Now, can somebody please explain this to me? Because this is a woman who was supposedly trying to get pregnant, and she's smoking and drinking. It doesn't make sense. That's one of the inconsistencies right there. Number two, when she announced on October 12th that she was almost 12 weeks pregnant, she gave the due date of end of March, beginning of April, because that would match, with when the baby's supposed to be born. And yet the child was born, I think, at the beginning of May, which is almost 4 to 5 weeks off. Now, either she was lying when she announced that she was pregnant and she just did it for attention seeking, or, that's the only conclusion that you can come to. Because nowadays, with all this technology and everything, they don't get it wrong by 5 weeks. They might get it, the due date is usually 1 or 2 weeks off, but not 5. So either she lied and said that she was pregnant when she wasn't, to catch attention and just hope for the best that she would be pregnant, or somebody else was pregnant. I don't know. But these are facts. These are numbers. This is nowadays, when you go to the doctor, you tell him, and you ask him, when was your last period? And the doctor will say, oh, okay. So, and you know how it is. They calculated your baby's supposed to be due, about 40 weeks after. Usually it's between 38 weeks. Most children are born in 38 weeks. Because the 2 weeks are usually like a period, because you can, they give you that extra time because of your period. It could be a few days off and on, so they give you those 2 extra weeks. But most children are born at 38 weeks, so she already had 2 weeks of the benefit of the doubt. So the child was born 7 weeks, but let's say 5 weeks, a little bit over 5 weeks after her due date, the baby's due date. So there is a lie there somewhere. To begin with, the doctors didn't get it wrong. Second, they didn't tell anybody where the baby was born. Everybody's assuming that the baby was born at Portland, because the proper document signed by all doctors who delivered that child has never been presented. So Palace gets it wrong. When a baby is born, it's also a very physical thing. It's not something that they get wrong. Oh, baby born 10 p.m. It's just to give an example. Baby born at 10 p.m. and the doctor testifies that the baby's alive and well when he delivers that child. That document is very important for many reasons. One, because the doctor releases responsibility from the doctor who delivers the child, because the doctor says, hey, I did a safe delivery, and when I delivered that child, the child was okay, and then he hands the child over to another doctor, where it goes. So for insurance purposes, the doctor says, I did this and that, this has happened. So medically, it has a value, but also it has a value because according to royal protocol, it has to state which doctor delivered that child, who testified and witnessed the child being pulled out of the woman's body. And the time, again, Buckingham Palace got it wrong they got the time wrong. Apparently, Harry and Meghan got the time wrong of when their own child was born, because also the press wasn't notified and nobody was notified. So I understand that they want privacy. They don't. That's a big lie. That's one of the biggest lies they told. They don't want privacy. But let's say that they claim then that they wanted privacy. But why not notify the Queen, which is actually protocol, given the fact that it's a royal birth ongoing. There's security issues and everything ongoing. I understand privacy from the public, but why from the Queen or Buckingham Palace? Because they were not announced. They were not told anything. It was a shock to everybody. And they got the time wrong. That's another inconsistency. So Meghan Markle is in drinking, partying like there's no tomorrow up until the week of Eugenie's wedding, when she unofficially announced that she was pregnant, because early next week the announcement came. Inconsistency there. Number two, that she said that she was pregnant when she was pregnant, because given the date of when the child was born, which was, I think, May 4th or 6th or something like that. Inconsistency number two. Inconsistency number three, that they didn't tell the Queen when the child was born, or gave the wrong time of birth. Number four, this is another one. They claim in Finding Freedom book, it's there in the Finding Freedom book, that Dr. Penelope Law had delivered the child at Portland Hospital. Dr. Penelope Law wasn't working those days. She was away on vacation with her now ex-husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband. Meghan Markle is claiming. So we have all those inconsistencies, all those things that don't add up. And yet that child was placed in the line of succession. How can the Queen put a child in the line of succession with all those inconsistencies? And worse off, why isn't Parliament calling this out? I'm putting these questions out. Because when people say the Queen doesn't know, the Queen knows. The Queen is the head of the MI6, I think. She is the, she is the Queen. She's the head of state, So she is informed of everything. So for Harry and Meghan not to have notified her, and for them to have slipped by the Queen, there's another inconsistency there, because either the Queen knew what they were up to and still has allowed it, or something is not right. But we have all these inconsistencies with this kid, the first kid, what's his name, Archie, that have not yet been answered. They're all very serious because they don't add up. They don't add up to any credibility that Meghan Markle was either pregnant at the time when she said, or that she carried the baby. Now, we've all seen the pictures of Meghan Markle, and you see it in the picture that I posted at the beginning of this video. There is absolutely no way. It is physically impossible. And I have asked you guys, put a big ball or a basketball and tie it up low here, even for men, and try to squat down with your knees closed all the way down. You will fall back. Why? Because you will need to open your legs to make space for that protrusion, for the belly. It's just simply impossible for you to do that. You can squat, but you need to open your legs wide to make way for this, for the bulk. It is a physical bulk. This is not even liquid. You know what I mean? So I've seen those pictures. You can't do it. And many people try to explain, just like she said, oh, she curtsied to the Queen when walking out. No, she didn't. There were loads of cameras everywhere. The only video that you see her walking out, and it was chosen because she kind of looks at Prince William's way, saying bye. She did not curtsy to the Queen. The Queen, she walked right past it with Harry. Harry didn't even bother to look at anybody. He's another prick. And these are all my thoughts and opinions, by the way. So I'm going to do this one about Archie because it's already 23 minutes. If you want me to do the next one about Lily, I will do that as well, but I'm doing this one. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 videos about this, and then I'm going to do Lily. What do you guys think? These are some of the inconsistencies. Because if you, and let's not forget that Meghan Markle is an older woman. She is. After 30 years of age, it is harder for a woman, especially after 35, to conceive so quickly. It is just the way, it's nature. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not ageism. It's just the way things are. So we have all these inconsistencies that nobody knows who delivered that child. Portland Hospital hasn't come out and say one way or the other that the child was born there. Now they're saying that there was this black lady from this clinic in London who does water deliveries who delivered the child. Again, wrong. Portland Hospital has denied that this lady has privileges there, because you have to be registered to be working at a hospital in order to have privileges to attend and look after people at that hospital. And Portland Hospital has come out and said that that lady, that Black doctor that Meghan now is claiming was also video present at the birth of Lily, didn't work there and was not present at any time during that time. So there's too many inconsistencies for that child to be allowed. If you went and got you couldn't be able to get that, and then they have the debacle of the changing of all the details on the birth certificate of the child. Why? You don't need to change that. You don't need to change that. The details that were on that birth certificate to begin with were correct. Those details were correct. But Meghan Markle, I assume that Meghan Markle changed those details, because unlike California, where the mother's name has to be the one given to her at birth, in the UK, you don't have to do that. So I think that when she found that out, she immediately had her maiden name removed and put the titles. And then she tries to blame the palace, saying that they forced it on her. That's not true. And I have a big thing to tell you about Lily. You remember that thing that TMZ released that's supposed to be the certificate of live birth? Oh, I have some news about that. But please let me know what you think. I'm sorry this was a longer video. But please leave your comments if you know of any more trips that they took between the time of May 19, 2018 till October 12th, 2018. Please let me know. I mean, this girl did a lot of traveling. I mean, the 1 month honeymoon, 2 trips to Italy, Amsterdam, Toronto. I mean, she was all over the place. She barely spent any time in the UK to begin with. I don't know why people say she lived there. She never did, actually. But what do you guys think? Please let me know. And please don't go hating on the kids. It has nothing to do with the kids. These are just points that need to be clarified, because for the good of the children, because the children also have a right to know the truth surrounding who they are. It's actually in the law. It's written in the law that child has a right to know everything about their lives. Let me know what you think, guys.